The scramble is on for Nikki Haley's supporters, but the now former presidential candidate isn't on board yet and urges her followers to be the same.
It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that. At its best, politics is about bringing people into your cause, not turning them away.
Well, today, both Donald Trump and Joe Biden, maybe no surprise, issued a statement asking for Haley's voters to move over to them, a critical group to follow, especially in the 6 battleground states that are likely to determine the election. Joining us now, Eric Levine, who is a Nikki Haley donor, and back with us, Tim Miller. I think you told the Associated Press last month, Eric, that you plan to support Haley up to the convention, adding, and this is a quote, "We're not prepared to fold our tents and pray at the altar of Donald Trump." So what do you and other people who really supported Nikki Haley do now?
So I'm from the Reagan wing of the party. So one thing that's not going to happen is I'm not going to support Joe Biden. The world is on fire. The catastrophic surrender from Afghanistan, the unforgivable appeasement of Iran, the separating the United States from supporting Israel. These are horrible things. The spike and explosion of anti-Semitism on the left. As an American Jew, I can't possibly vote Democrat.
So Donald Trump pull out of NATO, support Putin.
Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Well, Charlottesville, if you play the entire clip, and this is terrible. You always put us in the context of having to support and defend Donald Trump. If you play the entire clip of Charlottesville and not excerpt it, Donald Trump was clearly talking about people who wanted to take down the statues.
Yeah,
So let's not get sidetracked to that. Joe Biden also called me a semi-fascist, whatever that is. And he also accused Georgia of Jim Crow too when they passed their election laws. So let's not pretend Joe Biden is some nice guy. He's not.
Well, he hasn't attempted a coup, so they've got that. He's got that going for him.
Well,
nobody's charged the Capitol landing.
Well, hold on a second.
Where does the vote go?
Okay, but first, what was the Russia hoax? That was an attempted coup.
No,
These two, oh, absolutely.
Where does the vote go?
This is when you have to. You tell Donald Trump he has to admit the truth. The Democrats have to admit the truth.
I'm not a Democrat.
Well, supporters of Democrats have to admit the truth. The same rules need to apply to everybody. The Russia hoax was an attempted coup. Donald Trump won the election, and it was an effort to displace him from office. Putting that aside, where do the Trump voters go? That's a very good question. Nikki Haley's point of Trump has to earn our support is 100% right. We're not going to vote for Joe Biden. The question is whether or not we vote for Donald Trump or we stay home. And that's really the open question. So for me, the absolute worst outcome is a Joe Biden win, a Chuck Schumer leader of the Senate, and a Hakeem Jeffries Speaker of the House. To me, the best option for Republicans right now, the surest way to avoid that trifecta, is to make sure Republicans retake the Senate, because the map is great for us. And that's where I'm going to be putting most of my efforts. Look, Donald Trump won fair and square. That's where these things should be done, at the ballot box, not Alvin Bragg or Letitia James trying to bring ridiculous
But it's also
claims.
about where the money goes.
Yes.
So do you stop giving?
I'm going to support the Republican Senate candidates. I'm a one-man band. I only have so much money. So I'm going to, and I only have so much time in a day. My efforts are going to be directed almost exclusively to electing Republican senators. I did an event for Tim Sheehy last month. I have an event scheduled for Dave McCormick this month. I have an event for Larry Hogan in May. And I plan to work as hard as I can to elect Republicans to the Senate.
We have talked to a lot of Haley voters, and obviously this was before she made it official that she was getting out of the race. But I think there are a couple that are representative of her voters. So let me play those.
If it ends up being Trump or Biden, how do you think you'll vote in 2024?
You know, that's a really good question. It's probably going to be Biden, just because it's been, 4 years and he hasn't divided.
So if she doesn't end up winning the primary and getting the electoral vote,
right,
would you vote for Donald Trump in November?
I'm not sure. I don't know what to do.
So our exit polls, Tim, show that in Virginia, North Carolina, California, about a third of the primary voters answered no to the question of whether they will vote for the Republican nominee, regardless of who that might be. How much competition do you think there really is for the Haley vote?
I think that there's real competition. I think that there's competition from folks like this that are determining whether that they're going to vote for Donald Trump or sit it out. I think that's important, right? If you look at a place like Georgia, trying to motivate people and say, hey, Donald Trump is unacceptable. Donald Trump instigated an attack on the Capitol. Donald Trump had lunch with a neo-Nazi. Donald Trump wants to take us out of NATO. Donald Trump started to get us out of Afghanistan, actually. And so he's unacceptable. We're not going to vote for him. Moving somebody from Trump to nothing, that's a win for Democrats. And then I think there's another group of people that are genuine swing voters that the Biden folks could reach that are trying to decide what to do. Those folks exist. We hear about that. We hear from them in board focus groups all the time. You heard from one of them right there. And I think that the Biden campaign, you saw in the statement that they put out today, they're at least trying to message to some of those voters. And I think they could be important, especially when you look at Phoenix suburbs, Georgia suburbs. I look at the midterms. Brian Kemp, the Republican, wins for governor. Raphael Warnock wins for Senate. The people that made that vote, that voted for Warnock and Kemp, those are Haley voters, and those are important swing voters in this election that Biden needs to speak to.
Let me take you back to May of 2016, if I can, because you were working for Jeb Bush. I was covering the Bush campaign. He posted on social media he would not endorse Donald Trump. He said he had, quote, not demonstrated temperament or a strength of character. What are the conversations like, do you imagine, behind the scenes, whether it's Nikki Haley or other people of influence? Obviously, Mitch McConnell has put aside the attacks that Trump made on him and his wife and decided that he was going to endorse.
The quintessential team player.
I don't think it's a team player to endorse the person that does racist attacks on your wife. That's just me. If somebody called my spouse a racist name, I wouldn't endorse them. It doesn't matter what team I'm on. That's just one man's opinion. Jeb Bush is a man of integrity, but he also wasn't still trying to run for office again. And I think that, let's just be honest, that is the calculation that a lot of people are making. You know, I think that Jeb's happy to move back to Miami. He's got a great wife, has a great family, and he had a good life, and he made a good run. I think Nikki, the question is, does Nikki think that her future's in the Republican Party? Does she think her future is as an independent candidate? I think that what she is calculating on that will unfortunately impact her choice here. Probably.
Yeah, and I think whether or not Donald Trump gets elected, obviously, will have a big impact on her future as well. I wish we had more time. Tim Miller, Eric Levine, thank you both so much. And